Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And I do have quite a bit to talk about. So this week has been very large for XRP holders and for those that have been following what Ripple has been doing. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of things to really kind of look at. Now, I will say this. As we do take a little bit of a step back, I do believe that a perfect storm is brewing around crypto, and I will talk about that here in a second as well. But first, I do want to go over a few of these announcements. So one, we did see Ripple expand on the CBDC platform. And, I think that this is something that we have been watching for a while. I know that there's a lot of discussions around CBDCs. I know that everyone has their own opinion on these. I personally love wholesale CBDCs. I do not like retail CBDCs. Very simple. I've talked about it. But nonetheless, I think that this is something very large because it's right on par with what Ripple has been planning for a very long time, which is they want to be a crypto custody supplier, a crypto liquidity supplier, and ultimately they want to become a leader within the crypto space. They are a pioneer and they have been a pioneer around digital assets and cryptocurrency anyways. But as we do look at what's happening as well with Ripple, we know that they are working with the EHKD pilot program around CBDC use cases, as well as tokenization of real estate, which I think is a very large area of opportunity. Obviously, a $300 trillion plus global market. I think that what we are seeing right now around the space is a lot of adoption. We are seeing things move pretty quick, and I think that's just about time for the US to, make a major decision. And it's at a time where the US, in my opinion, is at a checkmate situation where we are seeing debt at an astronomical rate. Inflation continues to brew on. Banks are still constricted on capital. They are extremely broke. I've talked about this as well. Liquidity is drying up. So we need something to change. We need something to happen. And it's only a matter of time. And also for those that are out there that are retail investors that are, trying to make as much money as possible, I want you all to understand that hyperinflation has not hit yet in the US. Yes, inflation is still absolutely ridiculous. I see it every single time that I go to the store or pay bills, whatever. You can see inflation is still brewing on. It's only going to get worse from here on out. And I do think that crypto is going to be the preserver, if you will, because I think that crypto is going to be a huge area of opportunity for those that do want to, withhold their wealth and actually, park their wealth in. So far, crypto has become a major player around that as well. I think that a lot of people have been parking their money in crypto for so long, trying to counteract inflation. But also, within this, we did see Ripple expand and actually acquire Medico for $250 million around crypto custody. This is something that I put a big spotlight on because I do think that this is right on par with, again, what Ripple wants to try to do. I do think that Ripple does have a few banking licenses. I think that at some point in time, they might become a crypto bank, but I also think that they want to be a custody leader or a custodian, if you will, around crypto. And then last but not least, we did see Ripple expand in Dubai. And I do think that as Ripple continues to expand outside of the US, and we do see Ripple continuously be adopted in terms of their technological advancements around RippleNet, utilizing digital assets, including XRP for on-demand liquidity, I think that the US is going to have pretty much no choice. It's going to either one, adopt crypto for what it is, or two, get left behind and possibly even, I don't want to say get replaced as the reserve currency because I don't think that that's right on par with what's happening. I've talked about this. I think that CBDCs are going to decentralize the global infrastructure and ultimately we will have no reserve currency. But I do think that the US is going to fall behind technologically compared to its, adversaries, if you will. But, with this, we did see a huge announcement, which is the Hinman documents will be seeing the light of day. This has been a big deal to me personally, because I think that this is what's going to change a lot of things around the lawsuit. And then what we've seen as well during this entire time is people flipping bearish over on Twitter, which I thought was very surprising because this entire week has been very, very bullish for Ripple and for crypto and even for XRP. And we have a lot of people flipping bearish, which I personally love to see. I've talked about this. I love to go against the herd. And sometimes the herd makes your decisions for you. Meaning when they are bullish, you should be bearish. And when they are bearish, you should be bullish. So as they do flip bearish, I'm actually very bullish right now. Because what we are seeing, there's a lot of things happening right now around the economy And the big thing that everyone has been focused on is the US dollar, and I will get to that here in a second. But one thing that everyone should be paying attention to is the debt ceiling. We do see here the rise of the American debt ceiling. When does this madness end? Debt default is actually not the issue. The issue is other spending. 4.9 trillion US government revenue 2022, $928 billion in interest paid per year. And we already know that the Treasury is going to pay this $928 billion before anything. And as we do look at what's happening, right? Like, I do think that we are seeing a lot of problems within the US. For example, we do see credit downgrade and higher interest rates, which could further rattle the banking sector. Global financial stability could be threatened, adding fuel to the de-dollarization trend. A decline in stock markets causing a loss of investor confidence, cuts in social programs and government services. We do see if the US government does not renegotiate a new debt ceiling soon, it could have serious negative consequences for the US economy and the global financial system. Some potential consequences include, and that's those consequences. So to me, are we really worried about the debt ceiling? Are we really worried that this is not going to get raised? Absolutely, absolutely not. Like I've talked about this, I do believe that the probability chance of this not getting raised is like 1%. So, you know, I've no doubt that the debt ceiling will be raised, but we are starting to see a lot of negative headlines around this. For an example, if we go over to news, Jim Cramer, which is the incredible, absolutely incredible inverse indicator. Jim Cramer says, brace yourself for a week ahead as lawmakers inch towards debt ceiling deal. Mind you, we also seen debt ceiling crisis. Can this discharge petition help solve it? If the government defaults on the debt, see all the payments at risk. Like, we are starting to see fear mongering around the debt ceiling, which again, we're kind of seeing a big show being put on. Remember this video just recently where we had Janet Yellen talking about the Treasury warning the U.S. could hit debt ceiling by June 1st and how it could cause overnight bank failures? Yeah, listen closely to this.
Paint a picture for everyone. What happens on that day? Let's assume for the sake of argument it's June 1st. What happens that day if the debt limit has not been extended?
Well, Treasury finds itself in a position where we're unable to pay all of the bills that come due that day. And this would be really the first time in the history of America that we would fail to make payments that are due. And, you know, whether it's defaulting on interest payments that are due on the debt or payments due for Social Security recipients or to Medicare providers, we would simply not have enough cash to meet all of our obligations. And it's widely agreed that financial and economic chaos would ensue. U.S. Treasury securities are the safest bedrock security underlying the global financial system. A failure of the United States to honor all of its debt would call into question our credit worthiness. Even as we get very close to this date, if Congress doesn't act, we're likely to see financial market consequences. In 2011, there was a steep decline in the stock market and our borrowing costs. Back in 2011, the U.S. Was downgraded by the credit rating agencies. There would be permanently higher borrowing costs for Americans for buying a home, buying a car, and a failure to raise the debt ceiling would cause a steep economic downturn.
So again, you know, this is terrifying for most people, but if you actually look past this nonsense, a lot of this is scripted. Paint us a picture. Tell us what's happening right now. This is on national television, so people look into this and they're fearing for their life. They're fearing for their financial well-being. This is all by design. We already know that this debt ceiling is going to be raised. Here's also another video recently. Treasury SEC or Secretary, sorry, SEC. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen won't discuss U.S. debt ceiling options because every option is a bad option except printing more money. Listen closely.
There are a variety of different options, but there are no good options. Every option is a bad option. And I really don't want to get into discussing them and ranking them because, as every Treasury Secretary has known, the only option that really leaves our economy in good shape is, in our financial system, is raising the debt ceiling and making clear that Congress stands behind the basic principle that America pays its bills. We're not a deadbeat country. Yeah.
So yeah, we want to pay our bills. We want to raise the debt ceiling and we want to print more money. So why is everyone bearish? Well, it's because the dollar started to rebound. But as we do look at what's happening around the situation, we do see hit the debt ceiling in January, less than 2 weeks out from a potential default. Borrowing costs into June rising sharply, multiple conflicting headlines per day. Congress literally walks out of negotiations. If a person did this, they'd be jobless and bankrupt. If the average American misses a credit card payment, their credit score falls and it takes years to reverse. If the US government comes less than 2 weeks away from a default, it's business as usual. Something isn't adding up here. So as we do look at this, like everyone has been focused on the US dollar, myself included. I've been talking about this for a little bit of time. Personally speaking, you know, we have to clear 104 for this to actually flip bullish. And even then, we still have a long way to go because 106 is the big area of opportunity for the US dollar to actually gain a lot of momentum. But recently speaking, you know, if we go back a little bit, yes, when the dollar topped, it wasn't very bullish for crypto immediately. Remember, this is a lagging factor. This is not, you know, a huge thing around like, all right, well, if the dollar tops here, that means everything is going to go bullish. No. As you guys do see, it's a lagging factor because the dollar topped in September. We did not bottom on Bitcoin. Is this the bottom? It's questionable, right? Everyone has their own idea. To me personally, I think that we did bottom. This is November. So if we look at this, it did take a little bit of time, but we ultimately flipped bullish in January. During January, we've seen the dollar skyrocket to about 106, and then all of a sudden it fell. And during this time, if we actually go back to the 1 week span on Bitcoin, as well as on the 1 week span on the US dollar, I could actually show you something very interesting. So the second that we started to pump on Bitcoin is when it lost its trend below a significant area. This is 103, 104. Reason why this is significant is because this is the area that it topped out on back in January of 2017. During this time, this is when the bull run actually started of 2017 and 2018. So we lost a significant area of interest on the US dollar, which caused a significant move in the market all the way up until this area here. It lost a little bit of steam during February, which is when the dollar started to gain a little bit of momentum. But then, as you do see, the dollar topped a little bit more, and then Bitcoin went on a little bit more of a tear. Now we are seeing a little bit of a short sell-off. In the meantime, I've been looking at 25.3K as being the big target. It could even come all the way down to about like 24K. It does not really matter. I still think that the markets are pretty bullish. I will talk about that as well. But as we do look at the dollar right now, yes, it's gaining a little bit of momentum, and everybody is saying like this is bullish for the dollar. It's so bearish for the market. The market is gonna, you know, rebound. Bitcoin's gonna go down to this, that. Like I've been seeing so much bearishness over on Twitter. It's outrageous. So as we do look back in time, I have a few areas of interest that I've been circling on the chart, and I will talk about why. So in the past two presidencies, so Barack Obama and Donald Trump, we've seen the debt ceiling be raised and even paused multiple times. It got raised about 9 times. During Barack Obama, it got raised about 7 times. Initially, the big one that we've seen, so if we go all the way back to even 2013, and we can go back to 2013 on even Bitcoin as well. So during October of 2013, so let's go all the way back to October of 2013. So here is, let's see, here's October of 2014. Here's October of 2013 all the way back here. So here we have October of 2013. During this time, what we did see was a suspension of the debt limit. And this got suspended all the way until February of 2014. So here we have February of, so here is all the way up until this time here. So this entire time here was 2014. So here's 2013 over on Bitcoin. So during this time, it was gaining quite a bit in value all the way from 2011 all the way up until about roughly 2013. We've seen a sell-off here. This is because we seen the debt suspension all the way up until roughly February of 2014. During February of 2014, like we topped a little bit behind that because again, lagging indicators. But we topped right here around the time. What we seen was a little bit of steam from the debt ceiling being suspended during October because we still seen a significant gain in Bitcoin. This was roughly about a 10x from that time. Now, let's go all the way to 2015. So this is where I actually have it circled. So here is 2015. We seen an announcement in November of 2015. So here is November right here. We bottomed. Again, we had a double bottom on Bitcoin practically in October of 2015. Same bottom that we seen in January of 2015. Now, during this time, what we seen was November 15, we seen the suspension of the debt limit again until March of 2017. I have both dates circled here. During this time, what we seen was Bitcoin gain significantly in value. It did about a 7x and it continued because as we do see here, guess what we seen? In March 2017, we topped a little bit back in January 2017, but we continued the downward spiral. During this time, we seen Bitcoin continue on a massive 13.5x. It did a total of a 115x run from 2015 all the way to 2017, 2018 almost. And it's because of the debt ceiling being suspended, or the debt limit, if you will. So at this time in the market, we are seeing discussions around a debt ceiling being raised or possibly even suspended. What do you think happens next? We already seen, in my opinion, the bottom around this market. Again, everyone can have their own thought process here. You do not need to follow what I do. I do not tell you guys to follow what I do, but I do think that we've seen our bottom. In fact, I even think that we bottomed a little bit before November. I think that this was actually a little bit of a scam wick down below. I think that we bottomed roughly around like 17.6K. I know that we went a little bit lower. It's like about 2K lower. I think that down here was the perfect opportunity for anyone to get into some strong positions. But now we are seeing everyone flip bearish again. They're thinking that, Bitcoin's going to come all the way back down and create newer lows at 10K, whatever. To me personally, as we do look at the dollar, there's two areas of interest that I have. It's a rejection off of 104 or it's a rejection off of 106. Either way, I do think that we are going to see something very similar to 2017, 2018, where we did see a debt ceiling suspension. And this could go on until 2024, 2025. We don't know. Usually it's roughly 2 years. For an example, it's like 1.5 years. It was November of 2015 to March of 2017. So about roughly 1 year and like 4 or 5 months. If we do see that again, we're looking at about roughly 2024, like the mid of 2024, maybe even a little bit later, which is totally fine. Like summer of 2024 is fine. But I do think that that's when we will see the market top as well, because that's what we've seen historically around Bitcoin anyways. Like for an example, here you have December of 2017. The debt ceiling was limited until March of 2017. Again, lagging factors. We did see a little bit of a dead cat bounce on Bitcoin during that time as well, but I do think that we will most likely top a little bit beforehand. So I'm looking for, at some point in time here soon, and I know that this goes against the grain on what most people are anticipating, I'm expecting sometime here soon to have a debt ceiling raised, if you will. You could also have a debt limit. Does not really matter. You could have a pause on it or a suspension. If we do see that, I'm expecting the dollar to drop drastically in value as we do see Bitcoin and crypto and XRP, having a major run in the market. I even circled on XRP. Here's November of 2015. Here's March of 2017. XRP during this time, from the November timeframe to March, did about a 16x run. And yes, it did continue to run even all the way into about January of 2018, because again, this started the bull run. This started the major run in the markets. So we are watching this closely. I'm personally watching it very closely because I think that this is going to surprise a lot of people because everyone is still expecting the dollar to, gain a ton of value and continue even higher. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I don't see it because we know the Treasury is going to print more money. We know the Treasury, needs a debt ceiling raised, and the US is not going to allow for the debt ceiling to not be raised. It's about a 1% chance of that actually happening. So I personally am still in my strong positions. I'm still taking some positions. I'm still averaging into a few altcoins that I've been watching for a while because I am expecting, I'm not saying all-time highs, but I'm expecting us to have a significant run up in the market in 2023 and possibly continue into 2024. And the 2024 timeframe, realistically speaking, if we do have that year and a half run, you could even be looking at 2025, summer of 2025, anywhere between, the summer of 2024 and 2025 is the perfect time frame in the market, in my opinion. So I'm watching this closely. I'm not expecting massive moves just yet. We still have a long way to go on, if we are going to see the debt ceiling raised. It's going to be a very interesting time in the market. I'm personally watching this closely. I think everyone should also, because I think that we are seeing a perfect storm brewing around XRP and around this entire market. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night. Wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.